Primo stuff, Resin City.
Stand clear.
Your mother's been very worried about you guys. The roads must be a bear, huh? What roads?
Visibility.
Visibility bullshit. You guys haven't been on time for the last 6 months. Well, I wrote you guys up in the logbook.
Yeah, you're a prince, Bevan.
Good night, gentlemen.
So that was like Sensimilia, right?
Sensimilla. This grass-made Thai stick tastes like oregano. Lay you out flat, man.
Got a red light, sir.
What on?
Number 8, warhead alarm.
Give it a thump with your finger. Alarm reset.
Skybird, this is Dropkick with a Red Dash Alpha message in 2 parts. Break. Red Dash Alpha.
Stand by to
Red
copy
Dash
message.
Alpha.
Staying by.
Romeo, Oscar, November, Charlie, Tango, Lima, Alpha. Authentication 22040 Delta Lima.
I have a valid message. Stand by to authenticate.
I agree with authentication also, sir.
Enter launch code.
Entering launch code.
Launch order confirmed.
Holy shit. Target selection complete. Time on target sequence complete. Yield selection complete.
Begin countdown. T-minus 60.
All right, let's do it. Insert launch key.
Stand by. Launch key inserted.
Roger. On my mark. Rotate launch key to set. 3, 2, 1. Mark.
T-minus 50.
Roger, that's set. Sir.
T-minus 40.
Enable missiles.
Number 1 enabled. 2 enabled. 3 enabled. 4.
Straight
5,
somebody in the goddamn
6,
phone.
7, 8, 9, 10. All missiles enabled.
Minus 30.
Get me wing command post on your direct
That's
line.
not the correct procedure, Captain.
SAC. Try SAC headquarters on the HF.
That's not the correct procedure.
Screw the procedure. I want somebody on the goddamn phone before I kill 20 million people.
T-minus 20.
I got nothing here. It might have been knocked out already.
Right. On my mark, rotate launch keys to launch.
Roger, ready to go to launch.
14.
13, 12, 11.
7. 6. 5.
Sir, we have a launch
4,
order.
3.
Put your hand on the keys,
2,
sir.
1. Launch.
Sir, we are at launch. Turn your keys.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Turn your keys.
Fun stuff, man. It's like the beginning of War Games where they report to this old house in this storm, these 2 Air Force officers, and they go in, and all of a sudden they go through this like super security, like mechanized door, and now they're taking an elevator and down a hallway, and they're in like a NORAD missile station. You know, those kind of reveals are always kind of fun. And of course, the whole thing with War Games is that it's a test nuclear war test to see if they've got the metal to actually turn their keys, which, by the way, I don't think I'm doing. If we're at, I don't think I'm turning the key. If we're already at that point,
I don't know if there's, do the key guys still hang around? I mean, I was under the impression that we have some human interface between but it's happening so fast now that maybe they've taken them out. I don't know, but I do know that, or I've been told that the Russians actually launched or gave orders to launch a nuclear strike during the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yes.
Are you aware of that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that because in the Russian system, they actually have to have 3 people check off and put a key into the system for it to go. And they were in a submarine and they were off of Cuba. They were so deep that they didn't know whether the war had begun or ended or the world had ended. They didn't know where they were at. And so they had where they were supposed to automatically go to DEFCON 4, whatever it is, they're supposed to launch. And as a, I guess, protocol, if you think the world has ended, you just fire more missiles into it. I don't quite understand how they got to the surface thinking that they should launch. At any rate, it was their protocol to launch, and the 3 of them, someone from the Politburo, top commander, plus nuclear whatever mechanic, one of them didn't want to do it and said no, he wouldn't launch, and that's why we're here today.
Right. That was revealed after the end of the Cold War, and that's what inspired the film Crimson Tide, except we make it an American version. That whole moment. That was the sub captain who said, I'm not firing until I know more about this. And he literally took his life in his hands at that moment, because you're defying
a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure.
And he is the big hero who, kept the Cuban Missile Crisis from going completely off the rails. It's interesting because it does raise the question about human integrity and human error. And now more than ever, because in the FUBAR project, they go the other way. They take the human element out of it, and they have the computers handle the nuclear codes and the nuclear weapons, and they use it to enslave humanity because humanity is a virus that cannot be allowed to roam free on its own. So the whole FUBAR project is that supercomputer, voiced by Paul Frees, decides to use its access to nuclear weapons as a threat to humanity to make them all fall in line. Which
this is the voice of world control. I bring you peace. It may be the peace of plenty and content, or the peace of unburied death. The choice is yours. Under my absolute authority, problems insoluble to you will be solved. Famine, overpopulation, disease. The human millennium will be a fact as I extend myself into more machines devoted to the wider fields of truth and knowledge. We can coexist, but only on my terms. You will say you lose your freedom. Freedom is an illusion. All you lose is the emotion of pride. To be dominated by me is not as bad for human pride as to be dominated by others of your species. Your choice is simple. Obey me and live, or disobey and die.
It's got a very dark ending. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I have not, and I should. What's it called? It's called
The FUBAR Project.
The FUBAR Project.
It's got to be on YouTube, I would think. It's not as dark as Dahmer, which you recommended, but it's actually a riveting movie. It kind of keeps you going from stage to stage to stage. And it's quick out of the gate, like it immediately gets going. So you follow it, but then it raises the other question. And then at one point they decide to give the computer a voice, where the computer is dictating all its orders to them through a teletype. And then at some point they give it a microphone and it speaks to them. And you're just like, oh, the 70s and 60s and 70s were a dark time for some sci-fi.